the Supreme Court remains one of the, I guess, primary issues in some ways of the election, and to no small part because Antonin Scalia left us at it was a fairly opportune time. In some respects, some people are saying that
any time was opportune for Scalia to leave the court.
Well, it's certainly from the perspective, I think, of the country, that is the case. Regards to his family, it's always sad when someone passes on. But in terms of the country, in terms of its laws, this is definitely a net benefit. And then the question became, at the moment that Scalia dies, the Republican Party essentially said, "That's it. We're not going to confirm a nominee. In fact, we don't even think the president has a right to nominate anyone." So then the question is, well, who will the president nominate in what has to be largely, I think, a political gesture? But I mean, that's part of the equation, isn't it?
Well, it is part of the equation, and just like we see Obama all the time, gets sucked into this idea that he has to reach across the aisle and be a compromiser. So he comes in with Merrick Garland, who is just nothing more than he's a corporate toady, Sam. I mean, you can't call him anything but that. And, I'm criticizing Obama, yes, the same way that it incenses people when you criticize Obama, even when you're logical about it. We're better off with no appointment. We are, and I say that, no joke. We really are better off with no appointment because of the way the cases are coming up. What happens if they aren't decided? They're kicked back to the federal level, and most of the cases, progressives win. So now Obama comes in.
On the circuit level you're talking about.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened with Friedrichs, and we'll
that's right.
You
can discuss that, and you can verify what I'm saying here. Doesn't have to be a Judge Merrick Garland at all. This is a guy who started out with Arnold and Porter. In the story on Arnold and Porter, I have a lot of very, very firsthand, intimate, person-to-person stories about Arnold and Porter. I've been doing mass torts now, pharmaceutical cases, environmental cases for 33 years. And you know who's on the other side of it all the time? Arnold and Porter. Whether it's tobacco, they're defending Arnold and Porter. Whether it's bad pharmaceutical companies that kill and cripple people with defective products, it's Arnold and Porter. Whether it's Wall Street scams where they're stealing money from mom and pop, it's Arnold and Porter. This is where this guy comes from. Why in the hell we don't, why have you got Democrats out there saying this is good? Well, in their mind, they never kick the rotting log over. That Democrats are just so boneheaded sometimes where it comes to really understanding what's happening to them. If you tell a Democrat, "Oh, well, this guy, he voted for, he voted for a gender issue," which we would all agree with is a good idea, but that doesn't mean he's good as a progressive. That means he's good on social issues, maybe. But he's terrible on issues that affect your bottom line, that affect your pocketbook, that affect the economy, that affect decency, that affect the balance of power between corporations and people. This guy is awful. And that's why Hatch nominated him. And that's why this week we see so many Republicans saying, "Oh, maybe we're wrong about Merrick Garland. Maybe he'll be good for us." He's going to be great for Republicans because all Republicans really care about is the money issue. They don't care about these social issues. They raise hell about it, but when it comes right down to it, they don't really care about the social issues, so they let them fly. But here on money issues, Merrick Garland is a sweetheart deal for Republicans. and for Wall Street Democrats. But the boneheads who are going to listen to this and say, oh, how dare you criticize Obama. Obama is wrong about this. He knows he's wrong. All you have to do is look at the appointments that he's made across the board for the last 6 years to lower courts. He's always putting in effect corporate toadies, because that's who he has kinship with. He does not have kinship with the American public, the consumers and the American public. Now, let the emails fly, let the criticism start. I really don't care. This is an awful, awful choice for the Supreme Court.
Now, let me ask you this, Pap. I mean, do you think this guy is actually ever going to get seated? I mean, my sense is that this was that the primary mistake may have been to assume that anyone could get seated with this Republican Senate, and that there wasn't enough, this was a missed opportunity in terms of appointing someone who was going to cause the Republicans to pay some type of political price.
Yeah, you know what? I hear all these, this is brilliant, Obama and his advisors are geniuses. That is so much BS. Look, truth is, if you don't think they're going to get appointed, put in a progressive and then make an appointment when the Senate's out. Go ahead and do a recess appointment. Like that's how William Brennan was appointed. Mm-hmm. So you wait for the recess appointment. You go in with a progressive. Where have we gotten when we honestly believe with a straight face that Obama is anything except a Wall Street third-way Democrat? That's all this guy is. This is another example of it, just like the Debbie Wasserman Schultz story that we'll talk about, I hope. But, the truth is this is a disaster for progressives. It's an insult to progressives. It's just another time where Obama has said, to hell with you. I don't really care about you. You're part of the Elizabeth Warren, the Bernie Sanders group. I don't have any kinship with that. He just doesn't give a damn. And, for us not to hold him responsible in these last few months is a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing that has really sort of has thrown me for a loop in terms of this appointment, because, frankly, even if you were looking for someone who was going to be one of these corporatists, and there were certainly others out there that could do this, why wouldn't you even pick a younger one? I mean, like Sri Srinivasan, who, as far as I can tell, is of the same ilk as Merrick Garland.
Oh, he is.
And if anything, perhaps even more corporatist. This is a guy who, the Republicans were showering with praise. They voted for him 97-0 or something, confirmed him.
Right.
This is a guy who was younger. I mean, it's a very mystifying
Let me tell you a quick story. Let me tell you a real quick story here. Howard Nations, who probably one of the best trial lawyers in the country, dear friend of mine, has been for a long time. Howard Nations has the opportunity to meet with Obama, and he tells him straight up, President Obama, the appointments you're making of all these corporate toadies is deplorable. It's killing the justice system. And, Obama's response was, Mr. Nations, you don't understand. I can't imagine that you're upset, that you would think that these appointments that I'm making are going to carry that kind of politics with them simply because they work for a corporation, that they're going to side with the corporation. These people have worked for the corporations their entire frigging careers, okay? So Obama looks at Nations with a straight face and says, I don't think it has any impact. That is the most ridiculous analysis that I could ever dream of. And truthfully, he knows it. He knows that if you've been raised by a corporation, paid by a corporation, bonus by a corporation, then you're going to act like that corporation when you're appointed.
Of course. You can't help but think about it. This is the context in which you've been raised.